let's go.
All right, guys, welcome to a special mental theater episode where we're going to review a very, let's say, unknown show that should probably be on the top of your list of your streaming list, which is Lovecraft Country. And I have to give immense credit to not only Chloé, but Chloé's Mama Bear. Chloé, could you let us all know about the journey that we reached to get here?
Okay, so first we gotta give a shout out to my mom. Shout out to my mom, because she always puts me up on movies and shows and stuff. And you know, I like to watch things, but she's like really into a lot of different series, and like a lot of times she'll watch it and she'll be like, "Oh my God, Chloé, you have to watch this. Like this is right up your alley." So she brought this to my attention. I want to say maybe like 2-3 months ago. And she's like, "Oh, you have to watch Lovecraft Country." One of the directors is Key and Peele, or what's his name? Peele.
One of the executive producers is Brother Peele, and also J.J. Abrams, who relaunched the Star Trek franchise.
Yeah, so that's how it was presented to me, and like, of course, I'm gonna be into it because I love Jordan Peele, and we loved Get Out. So I'm like, in their show, the Key and Peele show. So I'm like, okay. And then I'm like, okay, well, can you like give me a brief synopsis? So she's like, well, it's an all black cast. The chick from Journey Smollett, she said, was in there. And I'm like, oh, that's the chick from Eve's Bayou from when she was a baby. And, I love her as an actress. So I was interested. I was intrigued. So I'm like, what is it about? And she's like, oh, it's like this fantasy thing. It kind of reminds me a little bit about True Blood, but you'll like it. So she's like, and not only you'll like it, but Josh will like it. So I'm like, Josh, we got to watch this. We got to watch it. And I got a little impatient. I'm not going to lie. And I was like, okay, I'm going to binge watch this alone. And so I started watching it. It is, let me just read the synopsis that I'll pull up for you so you guys know. It says, Lovecraft Country TV series. Lovecraft Country is an American horror drama television series developed by Misha Green, based on and serving as a continuation of the 2016 novel of the same name by Matt Ruff, starring Journey Smollett and Jonathan Majors. It premiered on August 16, 2020, and the series is produced by Monkey Paw Productions, Bad Robot Productions, and Warner Brothers Television Studio. The genre is drama, supernatural horror, and it's based on Lovecraft Country by Matt Ruff. It's developed by Misha Green, and some of the key cast members, which I was a little surprised to see. Number one, first and foremost, shout out to Journey Smollett. She killing it. I love her. If you guys don't know, that's Jesse Smollett's sister, and he's in he was in Lucius Lyon in
Empire.
In Empire, yeah. Then there's Jonathan Majors, who for me is like a new actor. Like I haven't seen him in anything. I know he's played in other movies, but this was like the first time I've actually seen his acting skills.
And apparently he's supposed to be Kang the Conqueror in the Marvel Phase 4. Yes. So look out for that.
Anjanae Ellis, Courtney B. Vance, Moonmi Masaku, Abby Lee, Jamie Chung, Jada Harris, and Michael K. Williams.
Of Oz.
Of Oz. Yo, he is a phenomenal actor.
I mean, he's right there.
Yeah, he's right there. He's phenomenal. I think he did a really good job in this series. So did everyone else. And the executive producers are Misha Green, J.J. Abrams, as Josh alluded to.
Jordan Peele, who knocked it out the park once again, especially with that one episode that freaked out Chloé. We'll get there in a little bit. And Bad Robot, which also executive produced, and that's J.J. Abrams' production company.
Yes. So let's get into why I love it, and I'm going to use love because I do.
And why you convinced me to give it a chance.
Listen, because Josh is very he's very strong in his beliefs.
Takes one to know one, this.
I agree. I'm very strong in my beliefs as well. So in order sometimes to get him to do things.
Wow. Finesse queen. Oh my gosh.
Finesse, got finesse a little bit. But you have to make a convincing argument pretty much. And so my convincing argument was, hey Josh, my mom said you should watch this. And so, he
and that did no, that didn't do it at first.
That was the first argument.
That was the first attempt.
And then the second attempt was, oh my God, you need to watch it. He's like, I don't know if I want to watch this. I have other things I need to watch first. I'm like, Josh, you really
yeah,
need to watch this.
Like Big Mike, Little Ant. I need to watch that, first too.
Exactly. And so eventually I watched, I want to say 4 or 5 episodes before we got into it, and I kind of snuck it on the TV, to be honest. I was like, oh, we're eating dinner. Do you want to watch it? Let's watch it. And so I told him, I was like, as soon as you watch the first episode, you're going to be drawn in. Like, there's no turning back after you watch the first episode.
Oh, like Game of Thrones and how Mike says after you watch the first episode, you have to keep watching.
Honestly, Game of Thrones took me a couple episodes. I'm not going to lie.
What?
I had to have the subtitles on because I was lost. And you know what? Josh is very good at knowing background knowledge. And that's really what I'm happy he watched it with me for, because a lot of stuff went over my head the first time I watched it, as far as like the esoteric messages and the symbolism.
Yes, there was an abundance of occult symbolism.
A lot.
Because the show did dive into witchcraft.
Yes. So, okay, so I'll give you a brief synopsis as per Wikipedia. You guys know that this can be edited, but this is pretty much accurate. It says the series is about a young Black man who travels across the segregated 1950s United States in search of his missing father, learning of dark secrets plaguing a town on which famous horror writer H.P. Lovecraft supposedly based the location of many of his fictional tales. So the premise is Atticus Freeman,
also known as Tick,
is followed as he joins up with his friend Letitia and his uncle George to embark on a road trip across the 1950s Jim Crow America in search of his missing father. This begins a struggle to survive and overcome both the racist terrors of white America and the terrifying monsters that could be ripped from a Lovecraft paperback.
And we'll stop it right there to avoid any spoilers. However, this is why I think Jordan Peele and J.J. Abrams knocked it out the park in terms of demographically, because you're able to expand the audience from not only our parents who are baby boomers, right, who may have strong ties to Jim Crow and the segregated era and the civil rights era and whatnot, especially with what's going on right now in America, but also the fact that it has to do with, fantasy and, magic and, things like witchcraft, which are all, all very, let's say, popular things now, especially after things like Game of Thrones. Mm-hmm. And it's also via HBO and specifically HBO Max. Mm-hmm. So this is completely worth an HBO Max subscription, even for a trial basis, just to watch the show.
Okay, so pros, first and foremost, are the graphics.
Oh my gosh.
The graphics are crazy.
They are Game of Thrones budget.
Yes.
No cap.
No cap, Chloé. No cap, Josh. But like, seriously, you think that this is something that should be in like the movies, honestly, like Game of Thrones budget, like some of the, I would beg to say, I would what's the word I'm looking
wager
for? I'd wager to say that these graphics are super unique. I mean, some of the things that I've seen or some of the things they portrayed in episodes, it's just amazing how it can go from vision to actual, like, on the screen for some of the themes that they like to portray. And it gets raunchy. It's HBO, so it's some pretty deep, dark themes, and it's illustrated very vividly. I like to say, like, super vivid, and like, thanks to technology, I don't even think that this would be a show that could have been done any earlier, based on the technology that they use to portray the themes and the message in the different episodes.
I'm not gonna lie. I think this is what I appreciate the most about it, because again, it reminds me of shows like Mad Men, which are taking in a vacuum of time during the same time period, but we're able to have a different level of storytelling with current technology. But more specifically with this show, Lovecraft Country, which is an amazing show, you're able to have the civil rights movement with a different level of technology and a different vantage point of storytelling that most people will probably never ever be able to experience before until now, which I think is phenomenal.
I agree. And, I think that the directors did an amazing job, like, taking the vision, like, because with storytelling, it's creativity, right? So it's like when you write a story, because this is based on a novel, so it's based on words. It's kind of like Harry Potter-esque, I'd say. Like taking the words from the pages and like illustrating it in a way that the message it hits the audience and it's captivating. Like, I literally was like blown away at some of the episodes. Like, what? They did that? And it's like so many different themes that are relevant and are explored that are relevant not only, in the 60s, but are relevant now, especially in our current climate, I say. But it's definitely for the audience, I would say, is very diverse. I think that culturally it's relevant for us, right? For our community. I think it shows strong Black actors. I think it shows a range of different communities, right? Built into one. It definitely tackles a lot of different themes as well. It's just interesting, right? So then you have the nerds. Like, I'm a low key nerd. I like fantasy stuff.
I would say dork.
Dork. What's the difference between a nerd and a dork?
A nerd is more going to be an expert in their field, and a dork is someone who dorks out on their favorite hobby.
Okay, yeah. So I geek out a little bit.
There you go. See, the geek, dork, synonymous.
I geek out a little bit on things that I'm like really interested in, and I love fantasy. So it takes like the mix of the fantasy with the relevance of like being a dope Black driven theme. Like, this is like a Black superhero. Like, if you're looking for that Django feeling, if you're looking for that it's like Django and True Blood mixed up in one. Like,
okay.
I would say that.
Because I never saw True Blood, and shout out to Tony Stark Jr. He's one of the people who also loves True Blood and watched True Blood as well. So that was one of the reasons why, Chloé suggested that Tony and Mike, I believe, who watched True Blood as well, might be into it. In addition to the amazing storytelling,
yes.
In addition to the amazing production quality, in addition to the names attached to the show, Jordan Peele and J.J. Abrams, which is, again, phenomenal. And in addition to the cast, which is, again, phenomenal.
The cast was lit. Like, I don't think they could have picked a better group of people to portray that. It was very believable. Like I said, it's captivating. So like, I would recommend that you watch it in order. Like, don't just start at episode 3,
which is what Miguel did for whatever. I don't know how.
I don't know how he did. He probably like turned to it and was on or something. I don't know. I recommend that you don't do that. I recommend that you actually like read it. You watch it as you would a story. It's in chronological order. It needs to be watched. It's a storytelling series, so you need to watch it in order. Like, I mean, I am very curious to watch it again because I want to see like all the hidden. I actually watched the first 5 episodes again because we had to rewatch it and Josh started from the beginning. So he was able to like pick up on stuff I had no idea about. And he's like, oh, there's the Masonic floor. And oh, there's that symbolism for this. And he picked up on like the little innuendos and stuff that it took me a second to pick up. I was like, oh, that's why they did that. Okay. So, give yourself some room. If you need to put on the closed caption, that's what I did with Game of Thrones because I didn't understand what they were saying. So if it's one of those series that you can pay, you have to like, don't go on like Instagram and like think you can look on Instagram and watch it at the same time. It's too different. It's definitely takes a little brain power to watch, not gonna lie. But it's pretty dope. I loved it. And I recommend it for anybody who loves fantasy, anybody who just is intrigued by the 60s and like the civil rights. Well, no, it wasn't really civil rights. It was prior to like segregation, integration, those years. There's a lot of racial undertones. There's some pivotal moments in history that are touched upon, such as, is this a spoiler if I say it?
Well, it depends what you say.
Let's just say there's pivotal moments in our history that are given a perspective.
I'm sorry. So I get what you're saying. So it's not a spoiler. The attack on Tulsa.
Yes, that's what I was
Oklahoma is reenacted and illustrated during this time, during this storyline. And I think it's very interesting as well.
Yeah. So it's kind of cool to see a different perspective. And then they put, the witchcraft in it and the different underlining themes. So I definitely recommend that you give it a watch, especially since my mama said you should. And because I got him to watch it and he was pleased. So it's a tough crowd, guys. I'm just curious of what they're gonna do after, because I would love to see another season. And I'm like, are they gonna do a spinoff? Are they going to?
Okay, so me being me, I researched the novelist who wrote this book, and there are other books within his series, and one of the books was mentioned in the show. So I have a feeling that HBO will probably do a version of that novel and make it similar to what's the True Detective on HBO, where each season is a different character, or almost like was it American Horror Story, which each season is this different theme.
Oh, American Horror Story. That would be dope if they did that with this. That would be actually pretty dope.
Because as far as I know, they've already completed the source material from the first season. So it's going to be its own standalone season. Now they potentially, as you're saying, because I'm sure once more people get into it, and they will, once more people see it, they're going to be like, oh, I would love to have a season 2.
I'm very upset that they did not promote this as they should have.
Right.
Like, I feel like if there was a higher budget for promotion, there's no way that this show couldn't be popping. Like, honestly, like, I don't think that anyone can see this show and not like it, especially our demographics.
True.
It's culturally relevant. Like, it has all the bits and pieces that makes an entertaining film,
especially in 2020, an entertaining series, not film.
Film. If you put all the episodes together, it's one big film.
Well, to be fair, each episode is his own film, so it's it's when it's in that hour block, let's say, of premium of entertainment, right, on HBO Max.
Yeah, it's definitely entertaining.
Similar to Game of Thrones. So each episode is going to be an hour plus.
Yeah, like how Game of Thrones had its own. Each episode was like a movie, like you're watching 12 movies a season. It was like that, but It was dope. I think y'all should watch it. Not fronting, like, but like I said, they need to do better. They need to put way more budget. Well, maybe because they used all the budget up on the special effects, they didn't have any left for marketing. But they should have marketed the heck out of this movie,
especially with what was going on during 2020. Things like George Floyd, R.I.P., Breonna Taylor, R.I.P. Like these things, I felt like so many people were into Game of Thrones, and it gave you that level of, you know, fantasy and magic and how it's, and this was, you know, incorporated in previous times with things that are going on in current times, which is what's happening now in terms of, you know, social justice. Mm-hmm. So I agree with you, Diz. Like to me, it's criminal that you didn't take a risk and try to promote it even more.
Guerrilla marketing, people, like free marketing on. There's like so many social media influencers that could have made this show popping. Like I didn't see anything go viral. Like I feel like for a very short amount of time, it went like semi-viral. Like the picture of the two little girls.
The Jigaboos.
Yeah, the Jigaboo. That was it. And I'm like,
that's the episode that freaked out Diz.
Yeah, it did. But I mean, and it's like of all the stuff that's what went. Oh no, there was one other one that went viral, and it was like when she was running through the woods. But that's it. Like it didn't get any publicity. I'm very shocked. I think that even at this point, especially since like we're all quarantined, like in a lockdown type of situation, I feel like they could even, you know, put money towards the budget for marketing now and still get people to fall in love with the show, to be honest.
And apparently it comes to DVD and Blu-ray in February.
Black History Month. Makes sense.
Yeah, those are the demographics you're speaking to. I think it's going to be one of those things where it and this is one of the jigaboos that freaked out this. Yeah. I think it'll be one of those things where it catches on late, similar to Game of Thrones. If you think about it, a lot of people got into Game of Thrones around season 6, 7, and 8.
That was me. That's like watch from the beginning, and I'm like, oh, this is why I refused to hop on that bandwagon. I really did. Like I was like, I'm not gonna watch this it's for whatever. And
you a hater, yo.
I'm not a bandwagon hopper. Like,
you not a bandwagoner though?
I'm not. Like someone had to actually convince me, like, Chloe, this is why you're gonna like it.
So what convinced you to check out Game of Thrones?
You want the honest truth?
Oh boy.
Do you want it?
Why else would I ask this?
A black man told me to watch it. Okay. Like, meaning most people who asked me to watch it were not they weren't black. So I was just like, I don't know if I trust it. But then like to have someone who's in like, you know, who's black come up to me and be like, yo, Chloe, you're going to love this, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, all right, I'll give it a try. I just didn't think it was going to fit my demographics. And then not only that, but like they broke it down to me.
I'm sorry, Mrs. I love Harry Potter, you muggle.
I do love Harry Potter.
Well, again.
But I also watched Harry Potter because my cousin, who's also black, like loved Harry Potter.
Interesting.
Yes, not because it's a race thing, but it's just like demographically, it's not going to be the first thing I like choose to watch unless someone tells me like, yo, you should watch this. And I'm open, obviously.
Oh, I
like The Office. Like I feel like a lot of stuff. Friends.
I never got into Friends.
Like one of my friends, like, oh, you need to watch Friends, and I was like, okay. The Office. Curb Your Enthusiasm.
I was more into living single.
Exactly. So for me, it's just like, you know, I'm open as long as it's someone who I trust tells me to watch it.
Fascinating. And by the way,
like
for those who absolutely love horror, like Tony Stark Jr. and Sandy Cheeks,
y'all should watch it.
Tell them how you felt about these jigaboo characters.
I just is very unsettled. I think because there's a lot of racial innuendos that not innuendos, racial undertones that go along with what?
Well, hold on. You're capping a little bit, Chloe.
No, I'm saying
because
that
you were terrified.
yes, of course, because
but you're not saying that.
she came off of the book Uncle Tom's Cabin for
spoiler alert. Hold on, Diz. Like you're.
It's not really a spoiler alert because people know that the Jigaboo represents a caricature of Black people, and as you see here in this visual, she's crumping like she's doing interpretive dancing, but at the same time, it's in a very disturbing type of way. So that coupled with the fact that this is like a visual representation of how we were portrayed, and it's a little girl, and then she has like demonic eyes and hands. It's just like it not only was scary, but it just kind of it like poked at what's the word? In addition to it being scary, it poked at like the underlining message.
Okay.
And it was like the demon was, spoiler alert, after a person.
And for me specifically, I was like, really?
It's freaky.
No. In terms of the storyline, it was phenomenal. But for me, the actual execution was like, really? Again? That's how I took it. It wasn't scary to me at all.
I think I absorbed that differently. Because I've been to the Blacks and Wax Museum in Baltimore, and I've seen like the artifacts and like, you know, the underlying message, and then for it to be turned into like a horror character is just like it's creepy.
That's fair.
Yeah. But yeah, it's definitely horror in the show. If you like thrillers, it's for you. Is it gory? Would you say it's gory?
Not only is it gory, but it is a thriller, and it does have horror throughout the entire film, and it does have a bit of mystery, and also in terms of let's say problem solving. So puzzles.
Yes, just like an escape room,
like a detective
like
type of thing.
Escape room detective. Right. There's a lot of cool elements. Like it's not one of those shows that you're going to understand what's going on immediately. Like there's definitely a build up. There's definitely parts that intertwine with each other.
Now, full disclosure, because this is one of the things that kind of surprised me. So the author of this novel, Lovecraft Country, is actually Caucasian. So going through it, I thought that, the author would be of our descent, right? Of be African American or any type of Black, right? So the fact that he was a Caucasian and able to capture it to this detail was incredibly impressive, because I appreciate the authenticity of being raw and authentic to that time period. So I appreciate that. So I was even more impressed when I saw that.
And I wonder if I actually want to read the novel to see where the consistencies are, and to see if that portrayal was more on the director's part or if it was actually portrayed like that in the novel. So I'm interested in that.
So, because it kind of reminds me of reading, Huck Finn in school, where you had, essentially Mark Twain, a Caucasian author, a white author, using the N-word in literature. So we already seen the show. So we definitely know that there's going to be a lot of N-bombs dropped in the literature. I guess, how do you feel about things like that if it's not from a Black or African-American author?
I think creativity is creativity.
Okay.
And I feel like when people start to censor themselves, it limits their creativity. So if you're moved to do that, I don't think that, who am I or who is anyone to put a cap on your creativity and the way that you would like to express something and get your message across. Similarly to comedians, right?
That's fair. I agree with that.
And I feel like nowadays there's a lot of sensitivity, which is understandable. However, censorship is a slippery slope. And I think that people have the right to express themselves, especially like even if you don't agree with it, right? They have their reasons, they have their perspective, and you don't have to agree with it. You don't also have to be their audience, but that should not limit someone from expressing themselves.
That's fair. I was just curious because I know sometimes we have, cancel culture. So I think that might be a reason as to why they didn't promote it as much. Speaking, as Warner's HBO Max, because during this movement, during 2020, perhaps people may not be as receptive to a, white or Caucasian author writing about these racial undertones that we've been articulating. So I think that might be one of the main reasons why, because cancel culture is very prevalent in our community right now.
Get canceled ASAP.
So
they be like, cut.
I can see it. I can see it getting popular as we're saying, and then people do the research and be like, oh, it's a Caucasian, it's a white author, and then it can just cease.
I also, and this goes back to Creative Gord when you spoke about appropriation versus
being an ally.
Being an ally, right? So intent is important, portrayal is important, and the collective team that was chosen to portray this novel, I feel was diverse, right? So that's important. Also, to be fair, it was an accurate depiction,
right,
I'd say, of that time period. And I think that as a person who is giving that perspective, who's not from the culture, being able to be accountable for certain things and being able to talk about certain themes that aren't comfortable to talk about, especially if you're on that side of the perspective, and showing the different dynamics is important. And it kind of sheds light to it, right? So yeah, I think it's important. I think that everyone's perspective is important, especially if it's portrayed in a way that is promoting a specific message and tone, which can be the difference between an ally and a person who's appropriating for clout and money and whatever else. So I think that is Quentin Tarantino direct Django. So I'd say it's like similar to Django. I saw that movie 3 times in the movie theater. 3 times in the theater.
Any reason why this?
It was the first time I seen that type of hero.
Oh, so you never seen a brother on a horse?
It was refreshing. It was refreshing.
That's what Tarantino does best.
And
have you ever seen Inglourious Basterds?
No, I haven't.
I would. You need to give that a chance, an honest chance.
So that'll be on the list, the watch list. But
and I think it's on Netflix still.
Oh, so maybe we could watch that tonight. But I am definitely I am a supporter of this series,
Lovecraft Country.
Lovecraft Country. Get your your HBO Max, right?
Yes.
But that's weird because I watched it on regular HBO demand.
When?
At my mom's house.
All right, even better. So it's on multiple platforms.
Yeah, I think it's on regular HBO demand too, because I don't think my mom has Max. But
okay, Max is the online version.
Oh, okay.
So you guys have the cable version.
Yeah, I watched it on demand. So it's on demand.
It's on HBO.
It's on HBO.
There we go.
But yeah, I think you guys should give it a watch. Let us know what you think about it. Like, it gets a little creepy. Not creepy, but there's some taboo things. There's a lot of taboo things up in there. A lot of listen, this is not for the faint of heart. The show is not for the faint of heart. It's not for the people who are gonna be like closed minded. Be very open minded when you watch it, and just appreciate it for what it is.
That's true. And to your point, this and these elements that this is talking about, this was also accurate during those times. It just wasn't covered before. But now that we're in this, social, space, we're able to revisit it and then capture it accurately in its entirety. So it was just a reality. That's just how things were. And there's an episode that depicts what happens when, certain characters learn about traits of other characters
in the past, in this perspective. It's very good. You guys will love it. You'll enjoy it. Let us know what you think. Pros, cons, what you like, what you didn't like. One thing I do wish they did was I wish they expound upon certain episodes. Like I feel like they had to compress it into a certain amount, and we lost a lot of storyline with some things that I would have liked to be like expound upon. Could you, without the Jigaboo, the Jigaboo episode? Okay. The episode with the what's her name? The underwater creature. There were themes they could have gone into, but I felt like they didn't. And I think they did that for a reason. I think they did that because not enough time. Tired. not enough time. Not enough time. Or enough budget. Because they had a Game of Thrones budget without having the clout of Game of Thrones. And it's their first season. Yes. That's true. But no. I was saying they expound upon certain things because I think the next season is going to go into that more. Hopefully. Like, y'all, we need to make sure this gets back on. We start a petition. Hold on. Hold on, though. Start a petition. This needs to go. I need another season of this. But hold on. I need a Lovecraft Country shirt. I got my Barbie shirt. I need a Lovecraft Country shirt. The reality is, if we're being completely transparent, our beloved show, Game of Thrones, start going downhill once the showrunners stop using the source material. So stop using George R.R. Martin's book and novel as the source material. Hold on. So I'm quite certain they use the entire storyline of the novel called Lovecraft Country in the series of books by the author who wrote this. And he has other books in the series that they'll probably go into, and probably the most the one that they mentioned that is they mention it in the show. I think they're going to do that one. To me, demographically, I think they're going to do that one next. Yes, I agree. And I also think that another way that they can go about it or approach is do the whole thing over from someone else's perspective. I love like Crash, how Crash did that. It's like all these different perspectives, seeing the same thing from a different vantage point, because they could have expound upon, and I'm going to keep using that word expound because I like it tonight, but they could have gone into detail about so many more things. So I would be even interested in them doing like another version of it from maybe secondary characters' perspectives, where you see the whole thing again, but you see it from, like, you see other things that are going on in the background. Like they take it from, a person's perspective that they didn't do it from the first time, or like, something of that nature, in addition to what you're saying. But I would be curious to see that. Okay. I mean, that's fair. I just don't know if that'll warrant the budget required for the show. I know. I just want to see it again. Yeah. But like, I think like how you said with the what show is that? Were these the same characters? Horror show? American Horror Story. That was dope. So maybe if they do something like that, I'd be into it, because American Horror Story was pretty dope, because each season was its own thing. Now again,
to me, it also depends who's writing the story, who's doing the storytelling. If it's Jordan Peele and J.J. Abrams, and they take this base and then expand upon it, fantastic. However, based upon how the series ended, to me, it doesn't seem like it's going to have a second season.
Also, my mom said, and we have to watch it, there's like a behind the scenes in the making of Lovecraft, which I'm interested in watching because I like the special effects. It's kind of like when we watched The Mandalorian, the making of it. I was just so intrigued. I was like, oh my God, they got that set. That's crazy. Like the technology in 2020 is out of this world. And, you have to appreciate that and the effort that goes into that. And then also there's a Lovecraft podcast, which I haven't gotten a chance to listen to yet.
Which is produced by HBO.
Yeah, so we need to take a listen to that and see. Maybe we'll figure out what's coming next from that. I don't even know what it's about, to be honest. I'm curious. I got some homework to do. But yes, so thank you guys. You have anything else to add?
Oh no, that was it. Wrap it up, Diz. Wrap it up.
Thank you guys for joining us. We definitely recommend the show. And let us know what you think about it in the comments. Let us know if you heard about it even before you even saw this, I guess, synopsis.
Review.
But
yes, definitely give it a chance. And at the minimum, let's use Miguel's Game of Thrones test. At least watch the first episode. And I feel like you're going to be hooked after the first episode. Just give it a chance.
Give it a chance.
So this Miguel's Game of Thrones test is if you watch the first episode of Game of Thrones, when you watch Bran fall from the tower, get pushed from the tower. Spoiler alert, right? But there's elements to Lovecraft Country that are comparable to that. So just watch the first episode, give it an honest chance, allow yourself to be immersed into the world, into the setting, understand the social and emotional ramifications of that time period. Allow yourself to get immersed into that. In addition to your love of fantasy, and then give it a chance.
Because I don't think the first episode even goes into like the time period.
Oh, it definitely does.
Oh, with the cops. Yeah. Yo, watch the first one. First one's dope. And watch it with subtitles if you need to.
Subtitles and preferably you might want to watch it when it's night outside.
Yeah. Because then you'll be more focused and don't like do other things like scroll through Instagram because you're going to miss things and go over your head and be like, I don't like this. I don't get it. Give it time.
However, if you do miss those things, write them in the comments and we might be able to help you.
Yes, there's a lot of.
Or more specifically, I'll be able to help you.
He schooled me on something. I'm like, oh, that's what that means. He's like, yeah, this about to happen. I'm like, how did you know that? So yeah, y'all like it.
And by the way, that was happening after you already saw the episode, and I was like, oh, this about to happen.
Because listen, my attention span is a little short sometimes. Even when I'm watching, sometimes things I miss, and that's why I have to watch it again and again and again, and then you pick up on things.
Yo, don't be trying to diminish my greatness, okay? All right.
Pinky's up on that note. Bougie. Thank you guys for joining us, and let us know what you think. Peace out.
Peace.
Let's go.